Okay, welcome to another quick revision topic. This time we're going to look at consumer and producer surplus to help us with our examination for A-level economics. Now these two topics are very important because the likelihood of them appearing, especially on the AS paper, are quite high. You may want to integrate it either into an extended written response. You may actually get a question tailored directly to it. Now consumer surplus, this is quite a simple concept. The idea of this is the difference between how much buyers are prepared to pay for a good and what they actually pay. So what is the difference between how much they are quite happy to actually pay for it and the difference between what the market price actually is. And usually what it means is they will be quite happy to pay a much higher price than the market price is actually currently set at. So this is really quite an important concept to understand. So we get a situation which looks something like this. So on our basic supply and demand graph, we have our market price here at P. We have P1, which represents how much the product would actually be willing to be bought for by consumers. So what we get in this situation is market price of P is much lower than the actual price that people want to pay for it. So all this area represents essentially the gain for consumers when they purchase this. So if P1 represents, in this case, £15, P represents 10, then consumers are getting a bit of a bargain, aren't they? So they're actually paying £10 for it, but they'd be quite happy to pay £15 for it. So we get a £5 potential consumer surplus. Obviously, if P was at 12 and P1 was still 15, we've got a £3 consumer surplus. It's a real important concept to understand because for consumers it gives them an idea of when they're getting a good deal, perhaps, or even for firms it might give them an idea of how they could potentially raise prices as well. Now, consumer surplus does generally decline with consumption. Now, this is all due to the law of diminishing marginal utility, which I will look at a later video as well in a lot more detail. Now, it's really good for firms to know as well because if they have an understanding of consumer surplus, it allows them to sort of look at the pricing structures and the market structures and maybe manipulate their levels of supply in order to achieve a higher price for it. Now, as far as producer surplus goes along, it's pretty much the exact opposite. So it's a situation of the difference between the market price which firms receive and the price at which they are prepared to supply. So essentially it is a difference between how low firms will go in order to sell their product, but about what the market is actually setting it at. So the market price is P here. Firms are willing to produce debt right down at P1. So anything essentially above P1 is a bonus for these firms. So if the market price is P, the actual willingness to supply price is P1, then there's a huge difference between what they're actually gaining and what they would be happy to accept. So but the bigger the gap here, the more gain the firms are actually getting. So they would be much more happy to supply at the given level on the market price. Okay, so that was producer and consumer surplus in just a couple of minutes. If you need to look at anything else, there's lots of reading you can do behind it, but this is basically all you need to know for your exam. Okay, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.